they're just twisting the light. No one believes in the shadows of night. Integrity, where have you gone? In a world of right and wrong, let's bring back the truth we knew. In every word and every view. In a world that filters the lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free. And lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free. Through the light, the darkest night, integrity, our guiding light. Don't let fate become the norm. Stand tall with heart so warm, rolling hard with victory bold. Your stories are just bought and sold, but when the mask begins to fall, the truth is clear to one and all. Erase the shadows and deceit. Integrity stands tall, won't retreat. Guard your truth, don't lose sight. In the darkest hour, hold tight.
Hey Nightwolf, could you do me a favor and get Lisa Rose links and post them in the chat? Up to you. You can tell me to F off if you want.
Let's revive the trust we need with every word, every deed. Integrity's a rare find, a beacon in the turbulent mind. Integrity is hard to keep when temptations run so deep. But trust is built on what is true, and trust once lost cannot renew. Rise above the noise and lies, integrity never dies. Through the chaos, stay true in every step, in all you do. So show your face and speak your mind. Let your heart be pure, be kind. For when the faith fades away, integrity will light your way.
Thank you, you rock. Hello, my name is Zurzu Zyklin, and welcome to my channel. Figure out these button things. As you guys know, I've been talking with a guy that apparently several conversations we have ended in either I'm a liar or I'm a big bully or something like that, you know. And there's even one I've shared with Lisa Rowe, which part of a script which we were gonna maybe run down, but so I kind of ran into that problem with this guy again, and I decided, you know, how am I gonna work this out? So immediately I started writing a script for an interview because I was like, man, I can't get this guy to just do a normal debate. Maybe I can get him to just come up for an interview and give his points of view, and I won't fight back, you know. And I was kind of trying my best to make something work. Well, I guess there's part of today's debate topic that is going to be removed, or today's interview topic, sorry, the debate topics and framework is going to be removed from the debate. And I'll be pulling you up in a moment. The debate topic and framework is going to be removed from the debate, or from the interview. Gotta quit calling it a debate. Anyway, that part was, hello, Tom. Hello, Katie D. So that part was, what kind of arguments do you find generative rather than draining? Are there certain formats or tones that you prefer? And the next question was, is there a belief you used to hold strongly and now approach differently, not because you flipped, but because you got more nuanced? And the next question was going to be, let's talk about debating. Why are you interested in debating? Not necessarily debate topics, but the why behind the want to join debates or discussions. And of course, I asked the person when I set it up if they'd give me 5 titles. And man almighty, that was like pulling teeth. This guy was giving me sentences and paragraphs and descriptors and not necessarily titles. They were the strangest thing I've ever heard for debates. But after finally plucking some teeth, I got a few sentences that could be basically debate titles. They would be strange debate titles, but the next part would be when I asked you to give me a list of 5 debate titles that would interest you. I asked if you could create an opening statements for each. The original list was the Messiah would be pro-choice for abortion rights. Women deserve equal rights, including registration for selective service. USA has a duty to illegal immigrants due to prior administration. Federal efficiency disproves universal health care. Creation over evolution, the science is clear. And of course I was going to say, and now I will choose 3 of these titles randomly. I would like you to give your opening arguments for each. Well, unfortunately, we'll go ahead and pull up Lane there. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Hi, everyone.
And we'll just make her go away. How you like that? Huh. We'll fix that here in a second. Figure out which buttons I'm pushing. Ta-da! There you are again.
You can't even blame it on a cat walking across the keyboard.
Oh no, it's just my idiotic fingers. That's all. So I haven't changed any of these debate questions at all, and oh yeah, that's why I wanted to pull that up that way, because I had set up a timer and everything, for the guy to at least have 5 minutes. And if he went over the timer, I had no problem if he went over the timer. My idea was for him to, I didn't think he'd be able to make the 5-minute timer on an opener. That was pretty much what I was weighing my money on. I thought he pretty much had a very shallow explanations of his ideas, And if he did extend past that, I decided I was going to be, whatever. If you want to do an hour explaining something, go right ahead. But of course, it started falling through when I mentioned questions from the audience. That kind of turned into, hey, freaked a little bit and said, I didn't know I was going to have to. That's more of a debate. Is this a debate or an interview? Well, it's an interview. At the end of interviews, there's typically questions from the audience. Oh yeah, and I wanted to see if I could do it that way, but it looks like I can't unless I select you, maybe, and then do it that way. Nope, it would have just been me. See, I'm glad I didn't do that during the interview, because that would have sucked. I just threw you away. Geez, I'm doing everything wrong, aren't I? Anyway, so today I got a message this morning. Of course, today's the day the show is going to be. Hello, Dr. Nimrod. I see you in there. And today was going to be the day the show was going to be. So it's interesting, this message. I think you guys can see it. I hope it's not backwards. It's backwards for me, but that's because, well, I view that way. So I don't, if I have somebody on panel with me and I'm on camera, I'm not pointing the wrong direction. So it said, not interested in the interview as my thoughts keep going. Back to your disrespectful actions towards me. If you had been actually interested, you would have treated me more or respectfully, and that is not the case. You confirmed like 4 times I had already said after I had already said yes, which shows you don't listen. And while I think of the or while I was thinking of the 5, you were not patient. Well, yeah, I'm 50 years old and I'm trying to get this interview done by Monday. And I think I started this nonsense like 4 days ago. But anyway, you were not patient, saying that if I don't give you the 5, that section would slip. No. Okay, now what I told him was, I mean, I'll go back and read all of this later on a different show if you guys want, but what I told him is that if he didn't want to do that part of the debate, we can forego that part of the debate, which is the same thing I said. I told him he'd let that part of the debate slip. I didn't say we could forego it. I told him he would let that part slip. We could just get rid of it and he can let it slip. And then later, I ended up telling him when he was asking about the questions from the audience, I was like, man, well, we can forego that. You know, we don't have to have questions from the audience. I was trying to bend every way I possibly could. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so after he got done with his little crybaby bullshit, about how I have control issues, well, possibly, but anyway, and I lack kindness. Yeah, whatever. I said, yada yada. I already planned the cancellation and have a backup plan. Thank you. Backup plan, by the way. You agreed to start you agreed, then started complaining about the audience questions at the end of the interview. This is why I was confirming if we were still on. Sadly, this cancellation reflects more on you than myself. You could have proven that there was deception by joining and showing I was being deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
But you chose the coward route. If you don't think this cancellation reflects negatively on you, when everyone can see my intention, I am sorry. Every single interaction on here from you has ended with someone not honest or attacking your fifis. It is clear who is not trying to be honest or who is not trying to honestly engage. And then I said, Sarah knows if I had any deceptive intentions through the DM I sent her regarding my interest in interviewing you. You are not doing a very good job, Tomato, or doing very good on your tomato training, in my opinion. Sarah, this tomato refuses to grow. Anyone else interested in interviewing, let me know. We can set it up. I have this cancellation covered, but this 2 p.m. slot can be open for you. If I don't get any takers, I'll use my fill-in. And of course, he went totally nut shit.
Of course.
So let's see. Right around here, I said, his last line was, he accused me of trying to moderate for the channel, for Sarah's channel, and he accused me of using Sarah for my alternative motives. I'm sorry, man. Does Sarah really seem like, I don't know if you know Sarah, but she's from Raging Tomato. I've showed her a couple of times on my channel. She does not seem like the lady that's one to be pushed over. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and I always hate when insecure men accuse other men of trying to control women, and the woman that is being mentioned is not in the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's horrible.
I'm sure she would have a few things to say about the idea that anyone, you, him, anyone, is telling her what to do or controlling things. I think she would have a few words to say about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think she could stand up for herself very well. I wouldn't want to be on her bad side. There's a reason she's called the Raging Tomato, and that's because, this guy, I guess, one day I'll have to ask her if I can post her Yeah, I think she'll let me. Not like post it here, but maybe send y'all over there to check it out. But she has a very good explainer on um why she's called the Raging Tomato. It was something to do with speed dating, and some guy got a little touchy, and she flipped out and she was all red. So he called from then on. He called her like the Raging Tomato or Tomato, and she just said, "Well, you know what? There's one way to solve this. Just go with it."
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so as you see, he says, let's see. Resting. Imagine resting. That's fine. I'm not sure what he was trying to say there, but imagine resting someone bad and then saying they aren't going or aren't growing as tomatoes. Resting. Anyway, I make mistakes. Dude is out there trampling on crops, acting like a saint, like the right or like it's like is right about me, calling him a liar several times, and his actions proved him a liar again. Some people have no fear of God, and their ancestors would be weeping. And then he cries out to this Libby Warrior person who I just stomped last night. I mean, they never said anything after I left until this morning. And then it says, Livermore, you're exactly correct about Zers. And I say, holy hell, dude, are you okay? Did you see anyone here really agree with that person? If you're going to grab at strings for some support, pick someone that is cool at least. And that's what he said. Imagine telling someone that you don't feel comfortable with their proposition and they attack you. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. It shows there was never any good intention prior to that, and he's simply upset that I identified his deceit. A person with normal intentions would have said that his sorry, or said the sorry and would reschedule. Attacking proves I was right. And I answered, I didn't ever expect you to show up. Why the hell would I reschedule something I never expected to happen? The only one being dishonest here is you, sir. In a debate, it is good to test your subject. This was a way to test you, and you failed, sir. None of it is my fault. Take some self-responsibility, sir. I have watched you flop on every. I have watched you flop and call everyone here dishonest. I have watched you accuse people of attacking your character. I figured I would give you an open floor with no pushback. Questions at the end of interviews are normal. I knew without a doubt you would fail. I called your bluff. You have no cards. And of course, the conversation goes on from there to somebody saying the tomatoes are growing. Now, as far as trampling the tomatoes, hello, Sirloin. Sorry, I was reading. I didn't see you sneak in. Got to be careful with the wording with him, because. Anyway, hello, coded friends. How are you doing? So that was pretty much my little failure on setting up a debate, because I'm such a brutal Zerzu Zyquin meme bully.
The way he talks, he reminds me of Chili.
Oh yeah, everybody's against him. Yep.
Oh, and everyone else is deceptive. Everyone else is dishonest. And when he gets called to a fair fight, he suddenly has to back out.
Oh, that's every one of these conversations I have with these nutballs online. It's not
sure.
individual to Maria de Castro. It's camera. Uh-oh. This one wants me to push a button.
By the way, what is a sock account? Do I want to know?
The sock account's just a fake account. It's not you.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's put on this thing here. so everybody's not looking at my closet. Oh no, Shiz is gonna get a snapshot of my closet. Bitch. Anywho, so I told you I was gonna check out a pit maneuver before the start of the show, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of those conversations that I have with those nuts end up with, oh, you're lying. It's quite literally like, oh, I lost my darn camera. Okay, you guys can say screw the camera. It's not happening.
That's okay.
That's why I don't use a camera, because my camera absolutely freaking sucks. Proof for all those people out there saying that Sir Zeus is just not using a camera because he's a coward. Anywho, I love that when people call me a coward. It makes me like, dude, you know what? Fuck. Anyway, you know what I mean, right? Do it in my face. Watch what happens. So yeah, we were gonna watch this pit maneuver. This is the wildest pit maneuver ever. Now, I've always said there's a way to do a pit maneuver, and a lot of people don't do it. A lot of officers don't do it properly.
Yes.
It's called a precision intervention technique for a reason. And you're supposed to make contact with the car at a specific spot, and then keep in contact with that car until it stops. I see so many police just flinging a car off into nowhereness, and they go flying off into another direction, nowhereness. That's not precision anything.
No, it isn't. That's just causing an accident.
This is crazy. This guy tries to get away like mad. I mean, he's trying to drive every which way he can to get off that cop's bumper. It ain't happening. Let's play it. So when he's got a puppy in the car, I'm kind of sad about the puppy. He's all right. He's all right. But I mean, think about it. He's got to ride through this little pit maneuver. He's probably trained for it, but geez.
I can already tell they're going too fast to do a pit maneuver.
Yeah, I believe probably.
Like there is a maximum speed.
Yeah, he does end up, I think they do end up slowing down, but some of that can be waived if he's doing what he's doing right now, dipping in between traffic and into oncoming lanes. If they have to stop him from getting in oncoming lanes, that's an absolutely different story. Yeah,
there is a judgment call, but I think one of the biggest considerations for a pit maneuver has always got to be the conditions that you're in.
Yeah.
It's like, are you on a major road? Is there heavy traffic? Are there people on the sidewalks?
But sometimes those conditions can require a pit.
Yeah, if you need to stop somebody before they drive into that crowd, yeah.
Yep.
It's a judgment call.
Yep. I don't know if I said hello to Coded Friends. Hi. So this guy has dipped into oncoming traffic multiple times. He wants a bite of that cook burger. And you would think, oh my god, he's not stopping. Why does he keep spinning this car around? This guy's steering and put on the gas trying to get away.
Better stop. Let me get hit.
Yeah, that was just crazy.
Oh, they got lucky as hell.
Yeah, just happened to catch him at the right spot there.
Yeah, very lucky that there were no other cars, traffic came to a halt for them.
Yeah, something about the pile of cop cars there kind of helped
out
a little bit. No, and I guess you could say that the looks like it might have been higher. I'm not sure. It didn't look like sergeant, and it didn't look like corporal. I'm not sure of the markings on the side of the officer's arms, but yeah, he wasn't too friendly with this guy when he pulled him out.
I'll bet.
The dog's just like, let me get him.
Yeah.
Let me get him. Let me get him.
Now. Show me your head. Show me your head.
Anyway, so we'll skip forward a little bit to where I just thought that was that was great. That was perfectly positioned to where he stayed in contact with the car. Tom's, is this GTA?
A little bit.
Actually, it is GTA. To be exact.
You're in Toronto?
Did you see Toronto? I have the report at the end.
Toronto is GTA.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But it's
never
all
mind.
here, Greater Toronto area, like half of Ontario.
Looking at the car. Well, how much do we have to repair here? Oh, we'll just, dude, you can't.
See if we can
You
pop the
can't
bumper
just
back
fix
out.
that. You
Yeah,
can't
I
like
know.
just.
You're not gonna fix it by yanking on it, bro. Like,
Sorry, that's not happening.
nope,
Anyway, what'd you think of that?
not bad.
Yeah, I
Not
thought
bad. I
it
think
was.
a grappler would have worked well for them there.
Yeah, that grappler thing is so cool.
It is badass, and I love that they're starting to get like nationwide publicity now. So-
Yeah, so
help-
they can start getting popularity. I've seen
Yeah.
fail twice now. I saw another video with a fail on the grappler, but I mean, even if the grappler fails, it's not nowhere near as bad as what we just saw. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Not saying that was a problem. That was a pretty good pit maneuver for a good reason, and the car did swerve directly onto oncoming cars. And at any moment, other oncoming cars could have showed up. But I'm sure the pile of police cars kind of prevented some of that.
Yeah, it looked like they had a bit of a blockade in place, so that helps.
So I guess we don't need the timer for the interview because it's not going to be a debater's interview. It is a debater's interview. All the questions are set up for a person who would be a debater. They're designed for a person who's critical thinking. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. So we'll start with what is your name or title? Or what name or title do you go by and why?
Mine?
Yeah.
I usually just go by Insane Lane.
And why is that?
I picked it a very long time ago when I was thinking of starting a YouTube channel long before I actually did. And it was very much early 2000s. I wanted something edgy, also not my real name or any part of my real name. So it's just what came out of like teenage brain at the time. And I've kept it like all these years.
Yeah, that makes sense. We all kind of pick a reason to have our names. Like mine comes from a video game that you pretty much pop this into any video game and you got an open account. Nobody's ever taken this name.
Yeah, my other online handle, which is Lisa Rowe, comes from a movie that I was obsessed with for a long time.
So if you had to describe yourself in 3 concepts, not traits, but ideas, what would they be? Now, I gave you an example of this already, so...
I did. This is the only question that I saw in advance. I've not seen any of these, just to let the audience know.
Hello, KMG, or GMK. Sorry, I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, if I had to describe myself in concepts, see, now this is where you get into like difficult questions because there's so many ways to answer things like this. Because anything can be a concept. Because once you think of a thing, then it's a concept, because you thought of it already. So that makes it like a concept, doesn't it?
Would you like the example again?
I'm looking at it now.
An example would be, I'm designed to listen, reflect, never perfectly, but with a looking glass that I can see a lot of different angles. Kind of like a reality kaleidoscope, if you will.
Well, I would say I'm designed to be a very good listener because I can listen to people go on and on and on and on and on all day long, and I can totally make sense of what they're saying most of the time, usually. And even if I can't relate to it, I can hear what they're saying and then think of something to say back. So I'm a really good listener, and it feels like sometimes I'm good at helping people figure out their stuff because sometimes if you just say stuff out loud, but people don't listen to themselves when they talk. So if you say it out loud to somebody else and then somebody else listens to you and hears you talk, then they can say back to you the thing that you didn't understand that you were screwing up in the first place, and that helps you unscrew up the thing, you know? So I'm kind of a good concept listener like that.
That's great. Excuse me. Sorry. I told you I'd be laughing my butt off here.
That's
What,
okay.
what metaphor would you use to describe yourself lately, such as a lighthouse, a maze, a mirror, a tripod?
Sorry, I was distracted by something in the chat. Somebody thinks I'm Raja. I'm not Raja. And I don't simp for anybody, so shut your fucking mouth.
Raja. I've always called her Rajara.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We've chit-chatted a couple times, but not appreciating the comment, coded friend.
Yeah, coded friend's an asshole. I've told him that. Anyway, so...
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I got distracted by a shiny thing on the wall. You know when the sun comes through your window and it paints a rainbow on the wall and then it's so pretty and you can sit there and stare at it for hours? Like that scene in Pollyanna where they hung all the crystals around the room forever. That was my favorite scene as a kid. I've seen that movie so many freaking times. I used to be able to quote the whole thing, especially the scene with the doll and the giant cake.
So what metaphor would you, as I asked, what metaphor would you describe yourself, such as a lighthouse, a maze, a tripod, a penguin?
Oh, definitely a maze. Because you've ever been to a hedge maze or like one of those ones they make out of the hay bales in the South and you go walking around it, but if you have hay fever, you start sneezing all the time and that gives it away to your friends where you're hiding. So that totally sucked. But if you go to one that's like made out of corn, or sometimes here we have them made out of snow, which takes a really long time because people think it's really easy because it just snows a lot and then you just carve it out with like a snow blower or one of those things. But that's totally not how those work. They make bricks out of the snow and then make an actual maze. So mazes are really cool because they can have like a lot of different rooms. You can get lost in them or you can get found in them or you can get other people lost in them and then you sneak out and then you get to laugh at them for being lost. But it's got a lot of different ways to go and there's like dead ends and there's secret rooms and you can have little decorated corners and like scary stuff or sometimes other things, or you can have like, you know, who can get out the fastest or who can run the farthest or who takes the least wrong turns. And somebody told me once, if you put your hand on the right wall and you only ever touch the right wall and then you just keep walking in a straight line, you'll definitely get out because the wall has to end somewhere and it has to end where it started. So you'll just go in a big circle and then get out of there. So I think it's a really good metaphor to be because you go into something and get out of something and sometimes you get lost and sometimes you lose other people or they lose you. And that's just kind of how it is, you know?
That's funny. I was going to ask you why, but you explained why very well, and my brain's already shrinking it right as we speak. and coded friends, I know what Insane Lane looks like. She's a very full woman, so not my problem. That sounds more like something you're worried about than anybody else here.
Yeah, why are we commenting on my appearance at all? That has what to do with like the cost of tea in China.
Tom said, is she using her normal voice? No, she's using an actor's voice. Okay, so where were we? If someone were to overhear your inner monologue for one day,
Oh God!
what do you think they would learn about you?
That's such a loaded question.
Yeah, I love these. You know, I wrote all of
Oh
them.
God! Of course.
If she's a shiz simp, she's a shiz simp. So be it.
I don't even know what that is.
Do you watch shiz?
No,
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Anyway, quit distracting the darn conversation,
I'm-
Coded. You can get to the questions and answers later when we just put a penguin on your question, and I'm sure she'll answer it again for you. So let's
Okay.
get back to that. If somebody wanted to overhear your inner thought monologue for one day, what do you think they would learn about you?
Well, if somebody was listening to the inside of my head for an entire day, one, that would be like totally weird. It'd be like in Clio 252 where they had the voice in their head and she could hear all their thoughts and stuff. And it was really creepy because like sometimes you just want to think stuff on your own and have a private moment. Absolutely. And then they would, if they could hear what I was thinking, because sometimes you're not thinking about anything, but then you get really, really weird random thoughts. Like, what if I set this trash can on fire? Would anybody notice? Especially if you're out in public and you think about doing stuff like that. Or if somebody's being like really, 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 really annoying and they won't get out of your space. And you're like, I could just totally pick up that stapler and just like bash them in the head with it, because that's how you get people to shut the fuck up when they won't shut the fuck up. Or especially if you told them to get out of your space and they won't get out of your space and you just want to get violent with somebody. So basically, if somebody heard the inside of my head, they would think I was secretly a serial killer or that I escaped from an institution. Both of which have been true at times. I did actually legitimately consider being a serial killer several times in my life. But, it just seemed like a lot of work and a lot of effort because you got to stalk people, because you got to know the right time to kill somebody so you don't get caught.
Yeah, and what do you do? What do you do with the milk,
Yeah, and then what do you do with the body afterwards? So there's always that consideration. It just seemed like a lot of hard work, so that's why I didn't become a serial killer. But I still think about it sometimes, especially if people are being annoying.
Oh, that's wonderful. Anywho, I don't want the average like I swim or golf, things like that.
Okay.
What activities give you creative oxygen? What do you do to thoroughly enjoy or explore happiness?
Oh, my favorite things to unwind and relax are definitely video games. I've been a huge video game girl since I got a Nintendo when I was 8 years old. My mom had to threaten to turn it off to get me to come to dinner. And that was like the start of me being a huge gamer all day. And it became a thing. And I play video games every day. And I always have like 10 or 11 on the go. And some are on my phone and some are on the Switch and some are on the computer. And it just depends on what I'm in the mood for. But a lot of games that I play, like Sims and stuff, have like design and creative stuff. So that's where you can really sink your teeth into it. And you can totally show off your personality because you can make anything you want, usually. Or sometimes like in Sims, they have limitations. But that's what mods and hacks and codes are for. Because then you can take those away and you can do whatever you want, like writing Virgin on a wall and then posting it in the shared part so that other people can have wallpaper that says Virgin on it because you wrote that and you made that, and that's a thing. I used to do that with Barbie games, like fashion design games, make like really, really slutty clothes because they didn't have any censorship back then because nothing was online yet, so they didn't have to censor anything yet. So there's like video games and stuff like that. Or sometimes I write things, but it's like all dark and twisty, and so then I get all my dark, twisty thoughts out because I'm writing them, or I'm writing a character that's supposed to be dark and twisty, and then it's okay.
Yeah, originally there was a mod that you can do to like what was it, The Sims, that made everybody like
there's so many
not clothed.
Yeah.
So what activities? Okay, so has a hobby ever morphed into something deeper, such as becoming more of a way of life than a hobby?
Well, I would say when I was in high school, when I was like super, super stressed because I was taking way too many classes at once, and I was really getting into online gaming, MMORPGs, which is massively multiplayer online role-playing game. And there was this one called Repels. And I got super, super, super into it with a friend and a bunch of other friends because I was in a guild. And then you go on missions together and you like hunt skeletons and like raid dens or something. And it's probably based on like so many other games that I don't play. And it's the only time I ever played that kind of game. But I was so stressed about high school that I got like super into it. And I used to camp out. And if you don't know, camping is where you just sit there and play for like hours and hours and hours and days and days and days at a time. So sometimes I would come home from school on Friday afternoon at like 5:30. And I would just sit at my desk and I would stay there until like Monday morning till like 8:30 when I'd leave for school again. And I wouldn't sleep or anything. And I would just game for like 92 hours straight. So it kind of became a lifestyle for about a year and a half, and then it kind of fell apart because I got kicked out of my guild because somebody didn't like me, and they were really stupid, and I hated them after. And then I didn't want to play anymore because it wasn't fun without my friends. Also, I was recognizing that it was kind of toxic to sit there for 4 days without eating or sleeping and just gaming this thing the whole time. So it became a bit of a way of life, but it wasn't a very good one, so I kind of gave it up.
Okay, then. Let's see. Where were we? Got lost again. So if you had unlimited resources and unlimited time and resources, how would you expand your personal creative practice?
Oh, that's a good one. If I had like unlimited time. Okay, does unlimited time mean you're never going to die?
Can Lane talk any faster? I hope not, man. What did you just ask?
Does having unlimited time mean you're never going to die, or does it just mean you have like unlimited time to do whatever you want because you don't have to work or whatever?
Infinite time and infinite resources.
Well, if I totally had like all the time in the world and like all the money in the world, the first thing I would do is probably finish writing my fan fiction, and then I would get people to publish it all over the world, because I would totally pay a bunch of influencers and bloggers and stuff to say it was like the best thing they ever read, even if they didn't like it, because you can totally do that because people say anything if you pay them. So I would get people to hype it up and then get it published, and then I would definitely spend my time writing A, more books, and B, I would get my books made into movies where I would like to be there, because, you know, people always say like you can never translate a book into a movie without like screwing it up, and people screw it up all the time. So I'd want to be in like creative control, and so if I had all the money in the world, then I could finance the project myself, and then I'd be in charge of it, because I wouldn't want to be the director or anything because I don't know how to do that, but I would get a director that would listen and do what I told them basically, and then I could make the book into the movie that I wanted without losing anything to adaptation, which always happens. And then the authors always complain about it. And I've always heard them complain about it. Like Stephen King says all his movies from the early 80s are like so bad. And they really are. They really are awfully bad. They are really, 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 really bad. But then I'm like, but then you kept making them and you kept making them and you kept catching the checks and the checks and more checks and you kept catching the checks with all the money because you're making all the bad movies. So you didn't think they were that bad, or you wouldn't have kept making them. And he appeared in them too, being a really bad actor on purpose, which is really kind of funny when he's making fun of the movies for being bad, but then he's in them as a bad actor and helping make them bad. But he kept taking the checks. So I don't think authors really complain all that much, but I've heard it happen way too many times where they agree to make the movie and they're all excited about it and they hype it up and they're like, oh, it's going to be great and it's going to be so faithful and I was there on set and I had creative control and it's going to be so perfect. And then it comes out and if it gets like one bad review, all of a sudden they're like, well, that's not what I intended. That's not what I meant it to be. That's not what I wanted it to be. And nobody listened to me and the studio did this and the director did this and the actors did this and blah, 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 blah. So I have all the time and money in the world and I can manage it myself and get what I actually want. So then later, if I don't like it or the audience doesn't like it, I can just say that's what I wanted. So if you don't like it, screw you. But I don't get
Dude,
to think
I
about it if
accidentally
I don't
gave
like
her
it.
all
I
the
was
time
bored.
in the world. I'm kidding. I was just, shoot, I accidentally gave her all the time in the world.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a lot of that sounded like it came a little bit from the personal end, which was kind of cool.
Oh, I'm answering
what
these
tools-
honestly. I'm just doing it in a funny way.
Cool. What tools, mediums, rituals help you enter a creative flow? Could be incense or playlist or, you know, just searching up empty Google documents.
Well, I can't really do incense because that sets off my asthma. I used to like it a lot, but it made me choke a lot, so I kind of had to make a choice there. But I still miss it because even just having it in the room can make it smell really good. But then the cat waxes the stick, and then you just have powdery dust everywhere, and it never goes away. It's like glitter getting into the carpet; it just never, ever, 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 ever goes away. So if I want to relax or get into the creative process, especially when I'm like writing and working on my fanfic, then I'll listen to like music from the show that it's set in because it's all classical and that's supposed to get your brain like really thinking because it's all like musical and mathematical at the same time. So it's supposed to get your brain really thinking. So I'll put on like classical music or I'll watch like clips from the show, especially the really sexy ones or the ones that I find sexy, or like at pictures from like the background or something, just to get in the vibe or the mood or like remember my world that I'm playing around in. And then I have to remember like all my characters and all the twists at different points because I'm jumping around time a lot. So I get lost a lot. And sometimes I don't remember where things are. So I have to go back and check and read things. So I kind of read my own stuff a little bit to get back in the vibe, and then it just scribble whatever's in my head. And sometimes it like comes out workable, but sometimes I have to go back and like fix it because sometimes I'm typing too fast and I make a lot of mistakes and I leave words out that I thought I put there, or I get like halfway through an idea and then I have another idea, so I'll like break off and go make myself a note for like another idea, and then I have to go back to the first idea and I can't remember where I was, and so I have to go back and read it again, and then I realize like, oh, I don't like that word, so I'll like change that word. And sometimes I'll sit there. Do you ever just sit there for like an hour trying to figure out just one word because there's a perfect word and you can't figure out what it is, and Google doesn't understand because it can't spell the way that you can spell, and it doesn't understand. And even though you're like one letter away from being right on spelling it, it still doesn't understand what you're trying to spell, and then you just get really mad and frustrated.
Oh yeah, I definitely have that problem. By the way, hello Logan, and I'm not sure if I said hello to Dr. Nimrod. So is there one piece of work of someone else's that has changed how you view your own creativity?
I would say yes, and that would definitely be Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, because I read that when I was 12, and then I read it like 47
Good
times since,
book.
and I'm not kidding. But it gave the fact that it was such a very popular book, and it was also equally unpopular because recently in the United States, because they've been making lists of books to burn in several states, and sometimes they actually set them on fire, and sometimes they just ban them from schools because everyone's being really fucking stupid right now and thinking that banning books is like gonna fix anything, or like books are giving evil ideas and blah blah blah. So Handmaid's Tale is always top of the list for every state that's had a book ban list. Handmaid's Tale is always on the top of the list, and I'm like, if you're not afraid of a book, well then there's something really good in it that you're really really afraid of, and especially with them making a TV show now, and now there's a second TV show that just got caught filming because it's all filmed where I live, and the second one just got caught in public filming, so their filming location got totally outed accidentally like last week, and they just started on the spinoff show and they got totally busted. But I figure if she could write something in 1986 that is not only being taught in schools, at least here it is, not in America, but here it is, because we had to read it in school 3 times, and I even got university credit for it once. And so if I read it that many times, and so many generations have read it, and then they made a TV show that won all the Emmys and just blew everything out of the water, and too much of it is becoming real now. And if you can write something back then, and she did it based on things that had already happened, and that's what people don't get. It wasn't just a book that she made up in her head. She looked at the real world at the time and things that really happened and said, what if this happened here in my world? And then she made it, what if it happened in her world? But she kept it very, very realistic, which is why I think people get afraid of it. And so if an author who wasn't even intending to, because she never thought it would be her biggest book ever, because she's written so many other books, so many other. If you have not read Oryx and Crake, you have to read Oryx and Crake because it's so good. And there's a sequel that I haven't read yet, but there is a sequel that's so good. I think it has 3 now. It might have 3 now. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a 3rd for Handmaid's Tale because I haven't read the 2nd yet because it had spoilers. So I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it before the show. But if you could write something in 1986 that's still relevant and people are still afraid of it and willing to burn your book today, and some places won't even air the TV show because content and because they're conservative idiots, then I think you did something pretty good. So it kind of goes to show you that by being creative and taking real world events and putting them in your own world and your own creativeness and writing it and then getting it out there, you can really impact things, because now it's like 4 decades after she wrote it and it's still one of the most talked about big things, and it still has a real impact. And it had a real impact because when all the Roe v. Wade stuff was happening on the steps of the Superior Court, there's a picture of like 300 women dressed as handmaids.
I think there was a section I missed, which really sucks. Yeah, I believe there was a whole section I missed. Did I ask you about your social media presences?
I don't have one.
What do you do on social media, and what do you aim to communicate through it? So you don't have one?
I really don't.
Okay, because the next one was like, do you choose... I'm glad I removed that, because it's how do you choose what to post and what is the process over time that evolved and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's a good reason I skipped that.
Yeah. How many questions do you have, by the way? I should have asked that.
1, 2, 3, 4, I believe 5.
All right. I got to grab some water. 2 secs.
Yep. So I've had a lot of fun with this one. And the voice was kind of funny. You know, I enjoyed it, I think. It kept me smiling the whole time. At one point, I was almost crying. Yeah, I can't believe this guy missed this opportunity. He had an awesome opportunity to have a pretty good interview, one that would keep him, you know, diving more into himself than just projecting outward anger and why does everybody have to be a liar? You know, if somebody disagrees with you, they're not lying. They just disagree with you. Even if you've tried your best, even if what they believe is absolute nonsense, they're not lying. It's what they believe. And you have to work on convincing somebody of that in a debate. You can't just immediately throw at them, you lied. Hello, Laura Rader. By the way, I will get to the rest of that video later, maybe next week sometime. I put it on the back shelf and was going to get back to it later. Good to see you're in. Yeah, I don't think Insane Lane is Rajara. I've not seen Rajara, but I really don't believe that Insane Lane is Rajara. Here.
I am not Rajara.
Somebody put a penguin on that question, so it's the first penguin at the end of the interview, so she can say it again. I mean, if she was Rajara, do you think she's gonna go, oh yeah, I'm Rajara? And if she was one of Shiz's Sims, do you think she's, oh yeah, I'm one of Shiz's Sims here to do my little looking around and stuff, do you really think the person would come out and just say that? I don't think so. If Insane Lane ends up turning out to be a bad person, well, shit happens, and you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Well, which comment? Oh, probably the one I was responding to a minute ago. Yeah, but I plan on doing that, chick. That sounded so wrong. Let's just get back to the topics. Personal insights. Oh my God. I would like to ask you a few personal questions, but not too personal. You don't have to answer them if you wish. Is there something people often misunderstand about you that you'd like to clarify?
Okay, yeah, I totally got one for this because a lot of the time, especially when I'm talking to like old people or like lawyers or like anyone wearing a uniform or like anything like that, or if I have to deal with the banks can be really annoying, they can be really, really rude sometimes. And so one thing that I get accused of being such a complete and total bitch sometimes. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's absolutely true. And sometimes I'm totally being a bitch in your face for like a really good reason. But a lot of times I get accused of being a total bitch or being angry when I'm not angry. And I'm just being assertive and saying like, hey, you suck at your job and you screwed up and you need to fix it. And then I get yelled at for saying that somebody sucks when they suck. And it's like, that is not my fault that you suck.
Yeah, I guess it's not necessarily your fault if somebody else is sucking. So as I counted those, it looked like I counted the intro and the question. So there's really only 3 questions left. What experience shaped your worldview more than others realize?
Hmm.
And hello, Stan.
Let me mull for a second. What is a world experience? Read it again.
What experience shaped your worldview more than any other, or more than any others realize? More than anybody else's realizes.
Okay, I'm going to piss some people off with this, but it's the truth. Okay, so like growing up, my mom was like a total religious flake, okay, because she was raised Catholic and she hates being Catholic, so she was like a lapsed Catholic is what they call it, but she was baptized, so you can't ever be like not Catholic if you've been baptized, so gets called being a lapsed Catholic because they're just like waiting for you to come back. But she was like kind of anti-religion, but she's mostly anti-Catholic. So when I was growing up, she would drag me around to all these other stupid churches for like anything that was remotely like Christian adjacent, or like Brethren, or like Anglican, because we have everything here. We have like every religion you could possibly think of, and then like every variation of the others, which is really cool. And I like that we have that because it's a really creative and good thing to have options and to like welcome each other and like be friends and stuff. But it would lead to her like dragging me to some of these ridiculous churches, like they're not really a church and it's just like an excuse to make money. And they do like stupid crap like talking in tongues or like faith healing or blah, blah, blah. And I was like 8 years old and I remember looking at it and thinking, this is really fucking stupid. And why are we here? And then it just made me think like, well, Mom, I'm kind of questioning your judgment as like mom and an adult because you're here and you're doing this stupid crap. And then sometimes she would ask me like what I thought about it and did I believe any of it? And I would be like, no, and rolling my eyes because I didn't believe in any of it. But I kind of wasn't allowed to do that because you're not allowed to do that when you're a kid, especially if you're actually standing in the church and like other people are looking at you and listening. And so that happened like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times into all these different churches. And then she would last for like 5 months and then she'd get bored or she'd move on or she'd get in a fight with somebody or like somebody wasn't friends anymore and then she would leave. And it was always just so confusing. And it just made me like think that like there's all these different religions. And for some people, it really works well because I saw some people for whom it definitely really worked well because they had like a life and they were married and they had kids and they were all happy. And it like really, 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 really worked for them. But then I saw too many people that it didn't work for. And I saw in a lot of churches, it wasn't so much about being included because they're all like, everyone's welcome here and we're all like together and let's be inclusive and like all praise Jesus, blah, 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 whatever. And then the other thing was, but the thing that I noticed, they were only including like certain people. It didn't really mean that they wanted to include everybody. Like I definitely went to a couple of churches that did not want any Black people. And that was just really disturbing because that was like some of my friends. And you never want to be in a place and feel like, oh, my friends wouldn't be welcome here. And then there was the whole I already knew that I was gay thing, so then that was going to be an issue. And I asked one guy once, who was pastor of a church, and I only went there once because I couldn't get to it because it's too far away. Like, if I had a girlfriend, could I bring my girlfriend here? Or, like, would people throw rocks at us or stuff? Because that's kind of happened. And I got told that it would be okay if we, like, sat together and if we would, like, hold hands and nobody could see it, but we weren't allowed to, like, hold hands in public or, like, anybody like see us kiss or something, because that wasn't allowed. And it's like, well, what the fuck is that, you fucking idiot? Like, you're saying it's okay to be gay as long as you don't do public displays of affection, but I'm watching a young couple who's getting married next week like suck face in the corner.
Yeah, some things will change your view on religion. That's definitely clear. What lessons have you learned the hard way but are grateful for now? Or singular. I said it plural, but I meant singular.
It's sometimes really, really, really bad at their job. People can be in charge, and that's when it sucks the most. Because I had some teachers that really sucked at being teachers, but I had to put up with them because they were my teacher, and you can't change your teacher. So I had to put up with them even though they really, really sucked, and they were really mean to me sometimes, or really just bad at their job, or really annoying, or made something take longer than it needed to take because they didn't want to accept that I can write a whole essay in one afternoon. And so stupid bitch made me wait 3 days before handing it in, which delayed me joining another class, which really, really pissed me off because it was the last time I had to be in her class, and we hated each other. And that's why she totally stalled out on me for 3 days, so I couldn't move on to the next class. And that was really, really annoying. But there were other times too where, like, the same thing, it was either like a teacher in charge of me or like a coach or like somebody at job training, like, because the worst thing ever is being trained by somebody in a job and you know the person is really, 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 really stupid and they barely know what they're doing anyway, and they're just like reading off a script and then they can't answer any questions and they get stuff wrong all the time, and if you point out that they're wrong, they just say like, what do I know? And it's like, you're supposed to be training me and you don't even know what you're doing.
How does that make you grateful now?
Well, because one of the things I learned was that by putting up with all that, is that sometimes you just have to put up with that because those people are in charge and that sucks. But that's how it is. So if you need to get the grade or you need to get a paycheck or whatever, you just really, really shut your mouth and just let them be stupid and try to stay out of the way, because then the stupid doesn't fall on you, and hope that the people higher up notice that that person is stupid, and then you still have a job, but maybe they have better trainers.
What is something small that someone once said to you that sucked and you return to it often? Or that stuck, sorry. Learn to read. What is something small that what is something small that someone said to you once that stuck that you return to often? And I'll step in on this one afterwards.
I think probably one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got, because this is so true and more people should listen to this. And sometimes I should listen to this because sometimes I don't, because it's really hard sometimes. But you should listen to one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard, and I remember this a lot, and I've told friends this a lot, especially when it comes to dating, is when somebody tells you who they are, believe them the first time.
Oh, that's great. Everybody loves you. As you can tell, you're getting great impressions in this interview. You know, like this one here, raving review. So, yeah, my answer to that question would be, I was watching a news broadcast once, and this house had pretty much burnt down to nothing but a shell. And they were interviewing the mom and the little girl, or a mother, and the little girl was tugging on the mother's arm like she totally wanted to be in the interview, saying, when do I get to speak? When do I get to speak? And the interview turned the camera to her and asked her, you know, what she had to say. And she goes, the fireman department, they come, and they put out my house. The fireman department, I love them. And ever since then, I can't see a fire truck without thinking, oh, the fireman department.
Oh, that's so cute.
So this has been an absolutely fun interview. The voice was a bit much. I figured it would be, but it was quite fun. And I hope the butthurt guy that missed out on the interview watched every minute of it and enjoyed it as well. Did you have any final words?
Check out my channel, Canadian Girl Reacts. New videos coming tomorrow.
What did you think of our interview? Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought those are very good questions.
Did
know-
anybody? I guess I shouldn't maybe kill it right now. I've already started that, but it doesn't look like anybody really has any deep questions for the blonde that they really wish could just shut up at the moment. Anyway, as always, you guys are awesome. Remember, you don't have to be wise. Just don't submit to stupid. And if you sound like Insane Lane,
Sit down and don't talk.
Once a virtue, now so rare. Integrity lost in the air. Faking images, twisting the light. No one believes in the shadows of night. Integrity, where have you gone? In a world of right and wrong, let's bring back the truth we knew. In every word and every view. In a world of filters and lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free. In a world of filters and lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free.
Batman's back in town, Penguin.
Stand tall with heart and soul warm, rolling hard with victory bold. Your stories are just bought and sold, but when the mask begins to fall, the truth is clear to one and all. In a maze of shadows and deceit, integrity stands tall, won't retreat. Guard your truth, don't lose sight. In the darkest hour, hold tight.
people probably don't remember my final experiment interview. It's in the list somewhere.
Honesty was once the gold, a standard by which stories are told. Yet now we hide behind the screen, a forgotten virtue lost on
Wait, did he really skip the part where I showed my butt?
Let's revive the trust we need with every word, every deed.
Just because I like playing it every once in a while. Like this one.
Find a
It puts the lotion in its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
integrity is hard to keep when the
Come on, Song, I wanna go have a cigarette.
so deep. But trust is built on what is true, and trust once lost cannot renew.
The song? Yeah, I absolutely like the voice on the song. My guess? Yeah, a wonderful voice.
So show your face and speak your mind. Let your heart be pure, be kind. For when the faith fades away,
Good day,
integrity
Nick.
will light your way.